everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Kay Thompson, and this is the latest episode of A Lesson in Real Estate, and I am so happy to have you join us today. If you've been paying attention to the news, you will see, depending on where you are, I should say, that there's been a lot of information going around, whether it's from media sources that are just geared towards real estate, your local news, or newspaper, local real estate professionals in your area, what have you, that the real estate market is experiencing some brand new and historic things. And that has been the case for us in this world for the last couple of years specifically. And we've seen a lot this year about the interest rates remaining historically low for purchasing a home. So for buyers, hey, it's a great time to buy, because the interest rates are so low. We've seen a lot of that. We've also seen where there's been, on the flip side of that, a severe shortage of available housing units. And so that is causing pricing for houses to go up. And it is knocking out a lot of first-time home buyers from being able to realize their dream of home ownership right now. Now, a lot of times we, as real estate professionals, will submit an offer for a client, and then once that offer is rejected, we'll go back to them and we'll tell them it's rejected, but we really don't always share with them why it was rejected. And of course, our first instinct is to assume that the buyer didn't offer enough money. Well, as I've said in previous episodes, the motivation for a seller may not always be money. And so today I thought I'd take the time out to share with you one of the reasons that your buyer's offer could be being rejected if you're a real estate professional and watching our show today. And also for buyers and sellers, if you are in the position where you're having your offer rejected as a buyer and as a seller trying to decide which deal to go with, then hopefully this information that I'm sharing today will help you. So with FHA, VA, USDA, and conventional loan programs, there are usually behind those programs a set of minimum property standards that a home must meet in order for a qualified buyer to be able to use their loan to purchase that home. And as I stated before, sometimes the money isn't the main motivator for a seller wanting to sell a home. Sometimes when sellers are presented with offers, though, if they are aware that they have certain problems with their home that will keep it from meeting the minimum standards of the different loan types, whatever they may be for a buyer, then they'll just reject that loan and go on. It could be that they don't have the resources to make the repairs necessary to meet the minimum minimum housing safety standards for the particular loan program. It could be that they are, just not wanting to do it. Like they may not have the time to oversee a lot of repairs if the home needs a lot of repairs, and they just want to sell it as is. And so in situations like that, if a seller knows that his property isn't going to pass, say, FHA minimum standards, then he'll reject your client's offer, and you won't know why if you don't ask. So just to everyone out there, if you're a real estate professional, a realtor, a real estate agent, working with a first-time home buyer or someone who's using FHA or VA specifically, if you're getting a lot of rejections, you might want to ask, is it because of those minimum property safety standards that each program has? And maybe there's some way you can work it out with the seller that, some of those things get done, or you can work out some other scenario where you can create a win-win situation and you can get your first-time home buyer into the home that they wanted without causing a lot of headache to the seller for having to have a lot of repairs done. And so that is what today's episode is going to be about. It's going to be about the FHA minimum standards and what things they consider to be happening in order to be able to close and have the property be used as collateral that is in question. And so for those of you who want a thorough and detailed list of the type of repairs that FHA requires, I urge you to go to the Federal Housing Administration site. That's www.fha.org. No, not org. I'm sorry, .gov. It's FHA.gov. You'll be able to go there and look at what the FHA requirements are that a property must meet in order to qualify to have a loan, to have it be used as collateral for a loan. And in at least one other subsequent episode, we may talk about another loan type. VA loans have minimum property standards that I believe, based on my experience and what I know from other professionals in the industry, their loan standards or their property standards, I should say, are a little bit more stringent than FHA. So that may be the reason that, you know, for a lot of home buyers, that their offers are not getting accepted. So, and you can check these things out. Now, if you, of course, go to the FHA.gov website, you're going to see these things written down in a way that's kind of difficult to understand. They have a lot of legalese on FHA.gov. So you really want to be careful to make sure that you're going to the right spot to get the information that you're looking for. And as I've said in so many episodes before this one, I love Investopedia.com. If you're looking for a quick way to get to the actual FHA.gov list of things that need to happen with regard to the minimum property standards, then you can go to Investopedia.com. You can just type in their search bar FHA loans and understanding FHA loans. You can type rules for FHA loans, things of that nature, and you'll be able to get, in layman's terms, a very clear and concise understanding of what these standards are and how they affect your client or your ability as a buyer or seller to either obtain or sell the home that you want to obtain or sell. And so I'm happy that we are going to be discussing this. And if you guys have any other questions about it, please feel free to reach out to me using the contact information that's popping up at the bottom of your screen. I'll be happy to share any other information and give you other resources if you need those, so that you can further understand the topic today. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So just so you know, the Federal Housing Administration loan program has requirements, including these minimum property standards, which are there to actually help protect the lender's investment. FHA loans must meet safety, security, and soundness standards, which include areas like roofs, electrical standards, water heater standards, and property access, among other things, in order for the house to qualify as collateral, like I said, for an FHA loan, and for a qualified buyer to be able to purchase said home using those funds. FHA loans, like I said, do not require the repair of cosmetic or minor defects. FHA does not require that deferred maintenance and normal wear and tear be done on a property if they do not affect the safety, security, and soundness of the home. So let me repeat that so everyone is clear. FHA does not require the repair of cosmetic or minor defects, deferred maintenance, and normal wear and tear if they do not affect the safety, security, and soundness of the home. So every repair that you may come up with, or every little thing that you may see that may be wrong with the property, is not necessarily a thing that's going to keep you from being able to acquire your FHA loan. So that's a plus for a bunch of buyers out there who may be worried about that. And that's also a great big plus for sellers who are looking at how much they may need to spend in order to be able to keep in order to be able to, you know, work with a buyer to sell their home. Also, workarounds for meeting the standards include having the seller make the repairs before selling the property. In some states and in some instances, you know, if you're, and especially if you're a good real estate professional who is a negotiator and good in that area of your business, you may be able to work something out where maybe the buyer and seller split the cost of repairs. In a couple of the states where I'm a licensed real estate professional, I know that a buyer can pay to have repairs done on a home prior to closing if that's something that the seller agrees to. So there's, depending on where you live, things I'm confident that you can do if necessary to work around these rules and to, you know, make sure that the home that is in question can meet the standards. Alternatively, though, buyers that can't qualify for an FHA loan may use another loan product like the FHA 203K, which is something that I mentioned in a previous episode, and it is a loan product that allows the purchase of a home that has significant problems and can provide you with the monies you need to make those repairs to the home. Usually with an FHA 203K loan, though, let me make this caveat: you have one loan for a certain amount. You're going to have to buy your property and make the repairs using that one loan, and there's not a cash out option. So you can't, you know, get the loan and then cash out and then try to do the repairs after the fact. The repairs have to be done on FHA 203K loans before you close. So that is a way to make sure that the lender is going to get a sound investment at the end of your transaction, and that, you know, the house will, you know, be good, safe, and habitable for you at the onset if you're a buyer. So, what are some of FHA's minimum property standards? I'm going to put up a little slide here at this point. I did share with you a few moments ago what the minimum property standards were, but I will just give you this slide here just so that you can have a written reference. According to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, the FHA requires the properties financed with its loan products meets the minimum following standards. Again, that is safety, that the home should protect the health and safety of the occupants. Security, that the home should protect the security of the property. And soundness, the property should not have physical deficiencies or conditions affecting its structural integrity. And I need to stress that. It should not have physical deficiencies or conditions that are affecting its structural integrity, meaning how it's standing, sliding foundations, things of that nature. It has to, the soundness of the property has to be very evident. And so there are some things that we can look at that are things that sometimes you'll see in a home inspection report that may pop up. And as a real estate professional, if you're working with a buyer, obviously you want all these, you know, you want to get them as much possible, as many of the items from their home inspection report fixed as possible. That's why it's always good to talk with the other agent, and in the spirit of cooperation, you work together, of course, without divulging so much personal information about your clients, that you can figure out how to get these things done. So this next slide that I'm putting up are things that the FHA does not require if they don't affect the safety, security, and soundness of the home. So missing handrails is one. Cracked or damaged exit doors that are otherwise operable. Cracked window glass. Defective paint surfaces in homes constructed after 1978. So anything that was done before 1978, you know, you have to provide a lead-based paint disclosure according to federal guidelines. So anything after 1978, defective paint surfaces in the home, those are not going to be issues that hold up your ability to get an FHA loan closed if you're a buyer. Minor plumbing leaks, such as faucets that are dripping. Defective floor finishings or coverings, worn through, badly soiled carpet. Those types of things do not affect your ability to be able to close with an FHA loan. Evidence of previous non-active wood-destroying insect organism damage where there is no evidence of unrepaired structural damage. So if you had a previous issue with termites, and there's evidence that there was a wood-destroying insect, or where there was no evidence, meaning that they ate through some wood and you fixed that, that is not going to be a thing that stops you from getting your FHA loan. Rotten or worn out countertops doesn't matter for FHA. If your countertops, I know everyone is in love right now with the granite countertops, but if you have some, old Formica countertops that are a little faded in the house, your loan is not going to not go through buyers. If you find a house that you love and the only thing you don't like is the countertops, that is a very minor fix and something that you can handle yourself if the home has everything else that you need for yourself and your family. So that's something to think about. Damaged plaster, sheetrock, and other wall and ceiling materials that are in the home, in a home that was constructed after 1978. Poor workmanship, trip hazards, cracked or partially heaving sidewalks, poorly installed carpeting, crawl spaces with debris and trash, and a lack of an all-weather surface driveway. So all of these things are things that are required to be repaired. These are things that have to be done because they do affect this. They have to be repaired if they affect the safety, soundness, and security of the home. They don't have to be repaired if they're simply cosmetic and they're not affecting that in that way. Now, a lot of times, people get confused about, and I have another slide here that I'll put up that talks about the most common property safety, security, and soundness problems, and so I'll put that up in just a minute. But I wanted to say that there's lots of times where agents, the buyers of a property, get confused that an appraisal required repair is something that must be done in order for the lender to be able to give the loan necessary in order to acquire the property. If you have a home inspection and the home inspector recommends repairs, because a home inspector recommends things that should be done in order to maintain the safety, security, and soundness of your property. That does not mean, though, that you have to do, as a seller, all the things that the home inspector said. The home inspector, if you have a good home inspector, is going to point out things that are health and safety issues in your report. They're also going to point out things that are cosmetic. And they're not saying in any report that something should be repaired or not unless it's very clear that that thing is broken. What they will say is have a professional check it out. And so you can do that if you want. As the buyer as a part of your inspections period, you can ask a seller to do that as well. It just depends on what you and the other side, the people that are sitting across from the table during the transaction with you, agree to work out. So back to my next slide, which is the most common property safety, security, and soundness problems. And there are, however, many areas where FHA does require problems to be remedied in order for the sale to close. Here are some of the common issues that buyers are likely to face. So electrical and heating are always big things for FHA. You have to make sure that the electrical and the heating things are working. The electrical box should not have any frayed or exposed wires. Yes, you will get dinged on that. So they have, and that's a simple fix. If there's some wires that are exposed in your electrical box, I would hope that this isn't the case for everyone, but sometimes it is. You know, they have caps that you can put on those exposed wires to keep them from being a danger, but that is not something that I recommend homeowners do. If you, or home buyer, if you have that issue in your electrical box, I strongly suggest that you contact an electrician, someone who is trained and licensed to come over and take care of that issue for you. All habitable rooms must have a heating source. So that is another big thing. A lot of times people go out and they turn their garage or their patio into a lovely sun porch or extra room, and they don't put a heating source in there. That is going to be a health and safety issue for an FHA buyer. So before you go down that road, home sellers, with the idea that I'm adding more square footage, before you make that leap, make sure that you have a heating source there so that the FHA can consider that, you know, something that is habitable square footage. Roofs and attics. The roofing must be designed so that it keeps moisture out. That is the main thing with FHA. The next thing is the roof should have at least 2 or more years life on it. Most appraisers don't want to see a roof with 3 or 4 layers. That's probably going to get you dinged. So if you have that situation, go ahead and replace your roof, because if it doesn't have the life expectancy of at least 2 years, you're going to be required to do that anyway if you work with someone who has an FHA loan. The appraiser must inspect the attic. So the FHA appraiser must inspect the attic for evidence of possible roof problems. The roof cannot have more than 3 layers of roofing, as I just said before. And if the inspection reveals the need for roof repairs and the roof already has 3 or more layers, the FHA is going to require a new roof. So that's the biggest thing with FHA. It has to have a roof life of at least 2 years. It cannot leak, and it cannot have more than 3 layers. So if you've got that situation going on your roof, you need to fix that before you sell. But if you have that situation and if you have that situation and you're, like I said, facing the financial challenges, maybe there's something that can be worked out between you and a buyer where you can get the repair done. You just have to let your agent know that, if you're working with an agent, and then they can do the creative parts to help create a win-win strategy for you. And so, as I stated before, I wasn't going to go into every single loan product to talk about the minimum property standards that each one requires, because that would be a really long show. But you can go to FHA, and I strongly urge you to do this. Go to FHA.org and look at these standards, both if you are a buyer in the market, specifically if you're a first-time home buyer, so that you can understand what things FHA requires, so that you don't miss out on the home of your dreams because you're, thinking that everything needs to be repaired. And for those sellers out there, if you want to widen your buyer pool by including people who have FHA, which it's upwards of, between 70 and I would say 90% of all buyers in our national market are going to be using FHA. So in order to be able to tap into that very large pool of resources, you want to make sure that your home at least meets the minimum standards for FHA, because and especially in this market, it's going to help your home sell so much quicker. And chances are you'll be giving an opportunity to someone who is looking to start a home, or someone, start a family, or someone who has a young family that really needs the opportunity. At any time, you guys, you have any questions about anything as it relates to loans, or things that you can do to help to sell your home for the most amount possible, or in a way that helps to solve a problem for you, I strongly urge that you reach out to a local real estate professional in your area to help you accomplish that. A lot of times, real estate professionals work together. They usually know their markets very well, and they can usually come by and in just a quick few minutes tell you the things that you need to do to make your home available to these buyers, these receivers of FHA loans, with minimal effort on the back end from you. And so with that being said, I'd like to thank you so much for joining me for yet this episode of A Lesson in Real Estate. And until next time, take care of yourselves and stay safe out there. Bye now.